Welcome back. I thought I'd try something a little bit different as far as filming goes. I usually film in a recliner right to my left here. The corner over there is very boring, not a ton to look at, so I thought I'd stand up in front of some Spider Man comic books, maybe give you guys something else to look at other than my beautiful face in a boring corner. Today, I want to talk about Standard and where the format is going after the Pro Tour and whether or not it's going to devolve into a two deck format. We all know the obvious two decks: white black zombies or mono black zombies, and some Aetherworks Marvel variation, generally Teamer. As far as it goes, the Pro Tour, those were the two decks that kind of rose to the top of the standings. I think there will still be other decks for sure. Your green black decks, Delirium, Snake, Energy, some variation of that deck will be around and will be absolutely playable. Outside of that, there are the mono white or white splashing red humans decks. Probably will be along the fringes, though I don't think it's going to be incredibly great and may not even be the best aggro deck of the format because of zombies. But people like those decks, so I'm sure they'll be around. Tom Ross and whatnot, players like that are going to enjoy that sort of a deck. The blue red control deck, I think, is still going to be a thing, and I think it's going to be a very good deck. It just has to be tuned in the right hands by the right players to beat Aetherworks Marvel and Zombies. Zombies decks can be very, very, very difficult for control decks to play against because of the value and the recursion and the token making and stuff like that. So this sort of stuff can be difficult to tune a deck to beat that and something like Aetherworks Marvel. I'm planning on playing Teamer Aetherworks. I wasn't a huge fan of the older Aetherworks decks with Emrakul just because they're insanely boring and just insanely focused on that game plan alone. And it was Emrakul or bust, and then once it was Emrakul, it was auto wins, which never makes for fun Magic, was never my jam. The new decks, I feel like, can grind a little more. It's not just get your Aetherworks Marvel, get your giant Eldrazi, win the game sort of games. There's a lot of value in the decks. Glimmer of Genius, Rogue Refiner, Whirler Virtuoso, Torrential Gearhulk, Censor, stuff like that. That's the version that I'm kind of going to play. The Yuya Watanabe, Eric Froelich version from their respective teams they landed on. Because I enjoy that sort of Magic. The grindy, sort of control-y, draw some cards, counter your opponent's spells, build up an advantage, and then eventually take the game over sort of stuff. You can absolutely play that sort of a game with this Aetherworks Marvel deck, which is awesome. And then the upside of just being able to work that game out and then just go Aetherworks Marvel, get an Ulamog, get you, seems great. I've been playing the deck around a little bit now online, and it feels like there are times where you Aetherworks Marvel and you don't even grab the Ulamog if it's an option. I've grabbed Whirler Virtuosos over it and just made a metric ass ton of Thopters and just, with the evasion, been able to win the game and beat my opponent with a bunch of 1-1 flyers. Deck's pretty good. It's probably the best deck in the format if I had to choose one. And it's rare that I play the best deck in the format because the best deck in the format generally doesn't match my play style at all. The green black Delirium decks back with Ishkana, when that was the jam. Mardu Vehicles, the 4-color Saheeli deck, which was like play this deck or don't play Standard well. Never my style of deck. It's been a while since I've had a deck in Standard where I'm like, yeah, this is my jam. Back when the red, mono red, splash green, Atarka's Command aggro deck was in Standard. Atarka red. How can I not think of that? I enjoyed playing that deck quite a bit. And then before that, I was a huge, huge fan of like Jeskai Tempo. Even played a little bit of Jeskai Black, even though I didn't like it as much as just pure Jeskai. I enjoyed those sorts of decks when they were really viable and one of the top 2-3 decks in the format. Outside of that, like, there hasn't been the sort of deck that I enjoy playing in Standard a lot, so it's kind of pushed me away from Standard. I go back to formats like Modern and Legacy, where I could play decks that I like, but even in those formats, to an extent, certain decks that I liked playing aren't the best deck to play or the best deck choice for a specific tournament or a specific weekend. Example being in Modern, I just played a team tournament where it was a 3 format, Legacy, Modern, Standard. I had a friend play Standard who was just super entrenched and very good at Standard, who actually carried our team, didn't drop except for one match throughout the whole tournament. And then I played Legacy, playing Death and Taxes, and I had pretty middlingly bad results. And then my friend, Sean, who wasn't really playing a ton of Magic at the time, was going to play Modern for us because it's the most recent format that he had played. So we set him up thinking that Naya Burn was going to be a good choice. It was one of my favorite decks to play in Modern, and he got wrecked. He played against stuff like Abzan Coco, where they gain infinite life, and Burn just sits on its hands and does nothing. And just really bad matchups, Elves, things like that. Affinity, even, just got outclassed in deck choice. Although I feel like Naya Burn is a tier 1 deck at various times in Modern for that tournament, it wasn't a great choice. But those are sorts of decks I like to play in Modern. Merfolk, another deck. It just, the whole point is, like, I generally play decks that I like over decks that are the best. Now I get to do both in Standard, and that's really cool. I don't know if the format's going to be reduced just to 2 decks again. I hope not. I hope there is diversity in the format again, although I can see it going that route. What do you guys think? What are your opinions on it? Do you think Standard is great again? Do you think the Pro Tour helped? The new meta with Aetherworks and Zombies, do you like it? Do you hate it? What decks are you planning on playing? What decks do you hope show up? Please feel free to like, subscribe, share this video, and also comment. Tell me what's going on. Absolutely would love to hear from you guys. Always willing to have a nice conversation about Standard, as it's a format I don't play enough of, and I plan on playing more of going forward now thanks to this new meta. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you again soon.